Hello. Today is Thursday, April 12th, 2018. The sun is currently at 22 degrees of Aries. The moon is at 10 degrees of the sign of Pisces conjoined Neptune. And this weekend, the moon will approach and pass the sun in a new moon at 26 degrees of Aries conjoined Uranus. Now, if you didn't just understand that technical terminology and numbers, don't worry, because your understanding of those technical terms, phrases, and numbers has nothing to do with your connection to nature or your alignment to your soul's purpose. Rather, astrology is a useful tool to reaffirm and encourage and direct our alignment with our soul's purpose and nature. And yet we don't inherently need or depend upon this to be connected to nature and our soul's truth. Personally, I need all of the help that I can get. And this can be a collective theme and experience going on this month. Yes, we need all the help that we can get. And so, congratulations on having so far survived the month of April, which is one of the most intense months of 2018, and it's a considerably tumultuous, intense, pressureful period that can also be experienced alongside some very deep, cathartic releasing of feelings that can go quite deep and can be considerably difficult, negative, and painful. Now, me having already just said that and introduced myself in this video this way, a lot of people are going to go, no, he said something difficult, he said something negative, and I don't like that. And so to those people, good. You don't have to watch this video. In fact, in this day and age, I hear that you can turn your channel onto whatever it is that you want to see or hear. So by all means, turn to, channel into whatever it is that we want to see and hear, if that's your agenda. Personally, I like to talk about what's actually going on in reality. And what's actually going on in reality is not always fun and games, or lighthearted, or happy, or good. And particularly at this time, the planets and the archetypes that we're dealing with is Saturn and Pluto and Chiron and Uranus. And these are the faces of reality that oftentimes get bypassed and don't want to be looked at by ourselves, because wouldn't it be nice if we could live in an ideal hunky-dory Walt Disney World cartoon? And many people really put a lot of energy into trying to bring this into fruition, and that may be a noble endeavor if that's your agenda. Personally, I cannot look out in the world and see that. It's not really possible. We see what's going on in our world. And so, again, the astrology lingo, the terminology, will talk about these dynamics, will talk about these experiences, but in themselves, they are the legs of the table upon which we are talking about the nature of life, the purpose of where we are right now. And it is the excuse to preach what is actually meaningful, because what is actually meaningful is what's happening now in reality. And if astrology is not serving what's actually happening in reality, it's not serving its purpose. So, what's been going on this week? This has been a Sun Square Pluto week. When Sun squares Pluto, it is a time of change. And there can be intensity, there can be tumultuous, there can be pressure that is encouraging this change and transformation. And we oftentimes get motivated by unconscious urges that can be coming from a very deep, beneath the surface level inside of ourselves. And this can even be experienced as a type of anxiety or pressure that we need to be or do things. And this is something that can be harnessed and used in order to bring in changes and transformations in our life in a powerful way. This is a powerful time. It is difficult to avoid the theme, the nature of power, and how to use this in our lives so not to become victims or sacrifice to the world around us, but become empowered within ourselves. And so when the sun squares Pluto, we can adjust our life in order to get into deeper alignment with our soul's passion. And our soul's passion is really speaking to and through us right now. But it can also be unconscious drives and desires that are coming through the experience of anxiety. And so what's critically important this week, and we talked about this in the last video too, with Venus being square the moon's nodes this week. She was exactly square the nodes this past Monday on the 9th. But all this week, Venus is square the moon's nodes. We have to slow down, we have to tune in, we have to unplug from everything that's going on in the world, at least enough to catch a breath of fresh air. And to tune into ourselves and what we are really all about and what we really value from the inside out by honing into our heart and our cherished values and ideals. And we are not slowing down, and there is a breakneck pace, and there's so much to do, such little time. That is the nature of this time. It can create this anxiety that puts pressure on us to do things a certain way, that can sometimes cause us to lose perspective of what is actually going on in our given situation, because we are being driven by very deep or unconscious feelings coming from our experiences and programming from the past. Our childhood demands and expectations, the pressure from society and our teachers and authorities to make so much money, to earn so much, to be so successful, to accomplish so much, to be so secure, to be able to have a grip on life. There is this huge unconscious pressure to accomplish and be a success and do all of those things, but the question is that actually aligning with what real success is? Are we actually accomplishing what we need to in life, that is respecting and honoring our own individual heart and our own soul? And this type of week can create a buildup of energy, so much to do, so much energy, so much passion, so much restlessness, so much energy we don't know what to do with. And then we channel it into doing so many things, accomplishing so many things, and we can lose perspective and we can easily become drained. And the feeling right now, as the sun has already squared Pluto, and we're kind of catching this wave a little late, is that there can be this experience of breakdown or incredible lethargy, no energy, but a lot of feelings, a lot of feelings right now with Moon conjunct Neptune and then conjoining Chiron tomorrow evening, and then this new moon conjunct Uranus is happening as Chiron is pushing out of Pisces into Aries. There is a very powerful underlying Chironic theme that's been going on the whole last month, as the last new moon in Pisces was conjunct Chiron. The new moon is always a seed that sets the stage for the month, the lunar cycle to come. And now we have the old moon in Pisces that is completing the last lunar cycle. That's all been about Chiron, the sense of inadequacy, the wound, what's been tainted, what's been stripped from us, the feeling of anxiety, the feeling of being disconnected, the feeling of wanting to run away from the pain and the suffering of life. And I acknowledge this pain and suffering of life is there. I do not hold the perspective that Chiron is a planet that has nothing to do with pain, suffering, or woundedness. To avoid that aspect of Chiron is to be in denial of that aspect of reality. And again, many people don't like when I say these things. It goes against their own agendas, their own perspectives, and that's fine. And I don't agree with what everybody says about Chiron, because many people try to avoid that facet of nature. But for those souls who are very sensitive, what are we feeling and tuning into at this time is really the suffering of the world. We should be aware of this and acknowledge and, in fact, embrace this, because that is where we are at this time. The world is not a hunky-dory Walt Disney cartoon. We are aware of this if you are having eyes and ears. And so these themes go very, very deep. Again, this is existential themes of depression or lost, and how we cope with those feelings of not feeling good or not wanting to be here, wanting to check out of reality, which can lead to escapisms, addictions, means of copping out, or creating our own delusional realities. This is a time where people can be going off the deep end. And the unconscious provocateur behind that is the suffering of this world. Many of us don't want to feel it because it can be so unbearable. And so we try to run and run and run and cop out. And it can turn into workaholism. I'm going to do this, I'm going to make this money. I'm going to pat myself in the back for being a success because I'm doing what my daddy told me to do, and this is great. This is what life is all about. Or it can turn into our escapisms, our addictions. I'm not going to go to work. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to interact with other people. And it can turn into this downward spiral. This is what Chiron is addressing, bringing our awareness into. And there is a tremendous amount of releasing and purging of the feelings of existential disconnection, feeling lost, feeling like a leaf blown around in this crazy and chaotic world. And in that can be the theme of our lost innocence, being a victim of the world that is around us. And in some way, shape, or form, we have all had this experience. We've all been victims of the world. We are not victims. But how do we overcome victimization? How do we overcome the depression, the deep anxiety? We go into it. This is why we can't pretend it's not there. It is there. And the more that we run away from the feelings, from the inadequacy, from the pain, from the suffering, the worse it gets. It festers. But when we go into it, we understand what our life is about. We understand what's not perfect in our world, and this is what creates a change. This is what creates a rebirthing. This is what creates the releasing of the old, which opens up a space for the new to come in. And the good news is this big changing of the page is going on. And I would say these next couple days before this new moon, really go inside, really nourish and nurture and give yourself as much time and as much flexibility to process these very deep feelings like a trail of breadcrumbs, leading us into our deeper purpose of what it means to be a human being on the planet at this time, which is to be a healer. Every single human being alive right now, you are called and you are needed to be a healer in some way, shape, or form, and you will find what that healing role is by following your own trail of breadcrumbs into your own feelings of divine discontent that will awaken you as an individual warrior who has unique and special gifts to assist the healing of the world in unique and individual ways. We will not all be doing this the same way. We have not all been wounded or hurt or afflicted by the world in the same way. But that experience of affliction is not the end. It's the beginning. It begins by waking up into this world and realizing what this world actually is. It's not where it's meant to be. Humanity is not where it's meant to be. The potential of what this world and humanity could be is barely being tasted on this planet at this time. As we go into the wound, and we feel the pain, we feel the inadequacy, and we allow it to awaken and cleanse us by purging through our heart and removing the distractions that only get in the way of us getting into our soul's purpose, which is awakened through this deeper healing journey. The journey of healing ourselves is the journey of spirituality. If we're using spirituality to cop out of our healing journey, I don't know what we're doing, but it's not spirituality, and it's not going to ultimately serve us or others. When we go into this story and we allow it to rip us apart in many respects, and it takes on a poetic sense, and I say these things redundantly, and I feel them constantly send the wrong message to people. It's a delicate, difficult message that there is a juiciness, there is a beauty, even in the pain, even in the evil of life. And we're experiencing the evil of life right now, of the world that we've been born into. It is there. What is evil is just something that has become so unhealthy and so disconnected that it forms, this consciousness of I am simply here to survive in this world that's already fucked up, and therefore me behaving in a fucked up way is normal. That's the state of our systems of government, our systems of control, our systems of authority, because that is the consciousness which has won the majority already. And it exists and permeates through everything. And so yes, these things exist, but in a poetic appreciation of how that serves the awakening of us as warriors to fight for what is good, and how this serves the awakening of our heart. By having our heart broken, we awaken our heart to love. There is no other way to open your heart to love other than to have it broken. And so as we spiritually evolve, we develop a sense of taste and even enjoyment for the heart-breaking process. Because as our heart breaks, as the suffering of the world awakens us like a flame beneath our feet, it releases this juice, this essence of life, and that is the healing essence. We open our hearts via the pain and the suffering that we have been afflicted by, and we surrender to the process of life, of which this is a part of, in order to outpour the medicine that is the bliss of our own life, which is the full spectrum flavor of being a human being. The full spectrum of emotions is what awakens our passion. And so as we go down, as we allow ourselves to surrender, as we allow ourselves to process and be ripped apart, we are reborn. And we're born into a fresh skin, we're born into a fresh body, and passion is reawoken. If you're not feeling passionate and energetic and on the game right now, it's okay. Allow yourself to die and be reborn. Allow yourself to go into what is calling our attention to it via discomfort. Discomfort is not always a problem. I broke my hand. It's uncomfortable because I need to make sure that my hand stays still so it can remend in a way that is healthy and natural and goes exactly back to the way it was before. If I didn't have the discomfort, it would grow in a weird way and I'd be in pain for the rest of my life. Discomfort calls our attention to the places that we need to bring healing awareness into. And so, where is all of this going? There's a big chapter closing, there's a rebirthing happening, and then boom, things are moving forward. What awakens is passion. This hurts, this hurts, this hurts. Why is life this way? Why is life this way? Why is life this way? Why did these patterns happen to me? Why do I seem like a victim to life? Why am I a victim? Why am I a victim? Why am I a victim? I'm a victim, I'm a victim, I'm a victim. Hell no, I'm not a victim. I'm not going to deal with this shit anymore. I'm not going to put up with these patterns in my life. I'm not going to let the earth possess me. I'm not going to let this fucked up world control me like a marionette on strings. I'm my own person. I have my own power. I have my own energy. I have my own wisdom. I have my own goals. This is where things lead. This is a highly rebellious, revolutionary next moon cycle opening up with this new moon conjunct Uranus. At least it's lively, right? That makes it more entertaining. So on next Tuesday, April 17th, Saturn stations retrograde. The Sun is conjunct Uranus the next day, and Chiron moves into Aries at the same time. Those are three different signatures that all talk about a highly revolutionary, let's change the system, let's rebel against the system, let's say fuck you to the system, because the system is what oppresses us and the world from living in a natural, blissful place, in ourselves, with our families, and in our immediate environments. So this is the time to end these patterns of old mental programming, old ways of seeing the world, what strength means, what success means, who we're proving ourselves to. It doesn't matter. We will sacrifice our soul's purpose by trying to live up to the expectations of a fucked up world. We are not here to comply. And so, go in your own direction. Go to the beat of your own drum and use the passion, the dissatisfaction, and even the anger that awakens from the wound in order to fight for what you believe in. And it's not coming from the beliefs that we were instructed through a broken record. It's coming from the beliefs that we are passionate about because they reflect the experiences of our life. I have been beaten down, and now I'm going to stand up and fight for what is right. I'm going to fight for what we need, and I can no longer wait for other people to do it for me. I'm sorry, Mr. or Mrs. President. I'm sorry, Mr. or Mrs. Guru. It takes our willpower, our dedication, our passion, our persistence, our effort to get things moving forward. There is no ascension date around the corner waiting to uplift you into enlightenment. It takes persistence, devotion, committance to what's in front of us, being real, in order to push the boulder of humanity out of the dark ages in which we still live. If you have eyes to see and ears to hear, you know where we are. And so no, you're not going to get a magical gumdrop that's going to take you into heaven. And the more that you expect that, the more you will sacrifice your own inner worth. You're a warrior. You're not here to ride the coattails of other people into heaven. You're not here to do some repetition of a mantra or a special visualization that's going to easily and effortlessly bring our life into completion as if life were that frickin' superficial and tasteless. Hell no. It's a lot better than that. We get to do a lot more cool, big, powerful things. And so this is a dynamic, isn't it? We see power in the world in a bad and negative way. And power is closely associated to evil because people that devote themselves to only accomplishing what is personally fulfilling or gives them personal power usually do so in ways that are harmful to others. And when people are angry or passionate, oftentimes they come off in a way that is hurtful or harmful to other people. And so we associate power, we associate anger, we associate passion, we associate discontent with bad, with evil, with negative, as if they were. They're not. They're inherently aspects of nature. They can all be harnessed for good. We need to harness them for good if we want to push the boulder of humanity out of the dark ages. So this is the challenge, is we've got this wild stallion to lasso. We've got our own tremendous passion and energy to get on board. And there's going to be things that are encouraging us to do so, and they're not always going to be the things that we love or want to celebrate in the world. It's also the things that are really pissing us off or hurting us about the world is a gift igniting our souls to come alive and to be the individuals that we are. And to fight for what we believe in, to fight for nobility, to fight for equality, justice, harmony and balance with the rest of nature, harmony and balance between the two genders, harmony and balance between diverse nations, diverse races, diverse religions. We are trying to be warriors for the world. This is Chiron on the Aries-Pisces cusp. Chiron moving into Aries is a time of activity. It's a time of activism. It's a time of rebellion. And with Saturn stationing retrograde, the day Chiron moves into Aries, April 17th, it is about rejecting. It is about unplugging from the system. It's about destroying the old that no longer serves us by being the rebel, by being the pioneer. Aries, at the final degree of Uranus, wants to initiate fundamentally new patterns into existence that we have never previously tasted or known. I do not know the future. I cannot predict the future. Why? Because the future is unknown. This new moon conjoined Uranus says, hey, it's me, the future, speaking to you, and it's time for me to come in. How are we going to bring in the future? By breaking the rules of how we thought reality had to be done in the past and how we thought life had to be lived in the past. I implore you, I encourage you to break the rules. And how this happens is through bravery. This is the missing ingredient in so many of our spiritual pursuits, is bravery. Oh, let's not talk about suffering. Oh, let's not talk about evil. Oh, let's not talk about darkness. Let's not talk about how the world is fucked up. Says all of the people copping out because they're afraid. Everybody is controlled by fear. How do we overcome fear controlling us like a marionette is to be brave and face your fears. What rules, what regulations, what limiting constructs and hierarchies of authorities or religious programmings that do not allow you to be healthy, to be who you are, to go to the beat of your own drum, are oppressive. Uranus is Prometheus, who goes behind Zeus's back and steals divine fire from heaven and brings it down to humanity as humanity's liberator. Zeus, the king god, says humanity is just a fucked up group of monkeys, don't waste your time with them. Uranus, out of compassion, Prometheus out of compassion says, you know what, humanity can be better. We're going to break the rules. We're going to go behind Zeus's back and we're going to change the whole game. The whole game is changing, so hang in there. I've been blabbering, I haven't even been talking about the other astrology. The battery's about to die. Go figure. Mercury is stationing direct, Sunday, April 15th, square to Saturn. As we've been saying the last couple of videos, this has been a particularly volatile Mercury retrograde, and this last leg may be one of the most volatile. Square to Saturn, Mercury retrograde is delays, meeting brick walls, things not happening at the time or the way that we want them to, technology malfunction, so on and so forth. We need to be extremely forgiving, extremely flexible, have everything backed up, have a backup plan for every potential direction, and anticipate the delays, the breakdowns, so on and so forth. Mercury is stationing direct and things will start to clear up by the end of the month. Sun moves into Taurus next Thursday, April 19th. Things will start to slow down. This isn't forever. This isn't a punishment. It is a temporary, potent, powerful, productive awakening period. So don't waste your time. Don't leave it aside. Don't try to cop out or escape. That can really go in a bad way. I mean, Chiron on the Aries-Pisces cusp can also be sacrifice. It can be, slipping off the deep end in a bad way. And it can also be in the higher octave spiritual sacrifice. It can be martyrdom. All of this activism and humanitarianism, and we have to fight for a cause, and groups standing up for themselves, and we've got to take down the man, we've got to take down the administration, we've got to take down the US government. A lot of times those feelings, those activism revolutions are awoken through martyrs who show us how messed up the world actually is. This can also be a theme going on these weeks. All of this activity is happening on tax day in the United States. Fortunately, Venus is opposite to Jupiter on the 17th, so some of us might be getting a nice tax return. I don't know, a lot of us might be pissed off. I know I'm not getting a good tax return. I'm self-employed in the United States. I'm going to be paying a quarter of what I earned in the last year. So things will start to slow down and come together, though, moving into the month of May, particularly after this new moon this weekend, and then when the sun moves into Taurus on April 19th. The moon's north node is in Leo all of this year, so whatever sign the sun is, this is a shift when the sun shifts out of Aries, which is forward, initiate, be strong, be a warrior, find confidence in yourself. This is this new moon. It is about liberating our own self-identity from any limiting roles. Uranus is the planet that destroys and liberates our identity from any limiting identifications, which is identifying with pretty much anything. So be the pioneer, be the experimenter, break the rules, reinvent yourself, get a mohawk and tattoos and piercings, and be the person that you never thought you were before, because the opportunity is to liberate yourself into the self-expression that you actually are by finding alignment with your soul's passion, by taking that power, that passion, that anger, that frustration, and harnessing it like a wild stallion and setting it to work for us. We've still got Mars in Capricorn, Saturn in Capricorn, asteroid vested in Capricorn. We can focus, we can get shit done, we can construct the new, we can build the new organization, we can get the ball rolling. So seize the day, my friends. And there's a lot of continued transformation and getting deeper into our soul's purpose and awakening that energy that may seem missing at the moment. that can really take us into the month to come. And then as things move into Taurus, we'll have an ability to center and get settled a little bit more. But up until then, Venus is still square the moon's nodes. Make it a conscious practice. It could have been very difficult this last week to get a breath of fresh air in, to settle down. So you have to really do the work to integrate that capability, to be comfortable in yourself. And it's not being lazy. It's not discarding what you need to do. That is the pressure coming from our world and society that equals oppression. And we can no longer allow oppression to rule over our life just because we've been taught that that's okay. It's not okay. It was never okay. And so we're standing up for what is right. And we're no longer sacrificing ourselves to the teachers, the parents, the authorities that said, hey, it's okay that the world is evil and messed up and oppressive to you and everybody else, because that's just what the world is. No, it's not. That's what the world has become. And we are all waking up to what the world has become. But via our God-given human power and ingenuity and capability to invent new things and take things into the future, we can resolve all of these issues. Where you experience pain and suffering in your life is not a symptom of there being a problem. It's a symptom of you being alive in this day and age. Go into the problem, being the medicine, being the healer that you are, and you can be a part of the rescue of this planet and the upliftment of yours and other hearts. And so this is an exciting, passionate, preaching speech, and it's an exciting, passionate time. And I'm wishing you the best in moving from pain to reaction to rebellion to the confidence to break through the rules. It shouldn't matter these fears that lead us into oppression. Oh, I'm afraid if I broke the rules, I'll get in trouble. Someone will look down at me. I'll get yelled at. I won't get the approval from the authority. And so I allow myself to be oppressed. Use the pain, the anger, the frustration to change the fundamental patterns in your life that allow you to be more confident, more empowered in your own authority, in your own self, in your own ingenuity, because each and every soul is unique, and each and every soul has been given unique God-given talents and traits. We have to go in our own direction. We have to have the confidence to split away from the pack, from the rest, from society, in order to even discover who we are. And then we can return to society and the world and offer our gifts, being confident leaders, to take things in a direction that will allow improvement. And so this is an important time. And I wish you absolutely all the best in it. Oh, by the way, since this has been a really fiery, passionate rant, I also put out a recent video about the ongoing transit of the moon's north node aligning with the north node of Neptune, which is going on the next couple months. That is talking about the high octave spiritual potential and the nature of our soul. And so if you need some more upliftment, check out that video on the nodes of Neptune and our own spiritual evolution. And please feel free to share below your own experiences and what is birthing in you, because this is also a time where we can come together. We can inspire one another, and we can initiate new directions that can really open up humanity in a powerful, productive, and absolutely necessary healing direction. So again, all of my love to you and your beloveds, and please take care. Namaste.